The hotel ballroom glowed with amber light from crystal fixtures hanging like frozen stars. Maya adjusted the strap of her borrowed emerald dress, the silk cool against her skin but too tight across her shoulders. She'd gotten it from her roommate's closet that morning, desperate for something that didn't scream underpaid assistant. Around her, the annual Sterling Foundation charity gala hummed with wealth. Women in midnight black gowns and ruby jewelry. Men in tailored tuxedos that probably cost more than her rent. The air smelled of expensive perfume and roasted garlic from the catering stations. She checked her crumpled seating card again. Table 8. But the numbers were smudged from her nervous fingers. "Excuse me." She stopped a passing waiter balancing champagne flutes. "Where's table 8? He pointed vaguely toward the left side of the room. Maya wound through the crowd, her heels clicking against polished marble floors. She found a table with a gold number 8 placard, half the seats still empty. The centerpiece was a towering arrangement of white roses. One man sat alone at the far side. Dark hair pushed back carelessly. A black suit jacket draped over his chair, white dress shirt rolled to his elbows. He stared at his phone screen, jaw tight. Maya slid into the seat across from him. He glanced up. His eyes were storm gray, shadowed underneath like he hadn't slept in days. "Sorry," she said quickly. "Just trying to blend in." "You're doing a terrible job." She blinked. "Excuse me?" "You've been scanning the room like you're looking for an escape route since you walked in." His voice was low, rough around the edges. Not unkind, just honest. Maya felt heat crawl up her neck. That obvious? Only to someone doing the same thing. She relaxed slightly. At least he wasn't one of those people who looked through you if your name wasn't on the donor wall. A server appeared, filling their wine glasses with something red and expensive looking. Piano music drifted from somewhere, soft and melancholy. "First time at one of these?" he asked. "Is it that clear? You keep touching your dress like it doesn't fit." Maya stopped mid-fidget. "It's my roommate's. I'm just here because my boss got food poisoning and someone had to represent the PR firm." "Lucky you." Not the word I'd use. She took a sip of wine, courage bleeding into her veins. "You work in the industry?" "Something like that." "Let me guess. Finance? Law?" "Close enough." She studied him. There was something familiar about his face, but she couldn't place it. Probably just generic corporate handsome. "I'm Maya." "Daniel." The name rolled off his tongue too smoothly, like he'd said it 1,000 times. Or like it wasn't his at all. "So Daniel, do you actually believe in any of this?" She gestured at the room. "The charity theater?" His eyebrow lifted. "Theater? Come on. Half these people are here for the tax write-off and the Instagram photo. The foundation barely uses the money for actual programs. I've seen the reports. That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth. Sterling Corp donates millions publicly, then cuts employee healthcare privately. The CEO stands on stage talking about giving back while his workers can't afford groceries. It's disgusting." Daniel leaned back in his chair, expression unreadable. "You know a lot about Sterling Corporation." "I know enough. I had to draft a press release last month covering up their latest scandal. Some whistleblower tried to expose their offshore accounts, and my boss made me spin it as disgruntled employee nonsense." "And you did it anyway." The words stung because they were true. "I need this job," Maya said quietly. "Some of us don't have choices. Everyone has choices. Some just have better options. Easy to say when you're sitting at the VIP table." Daniel's jaw tightened. "You think you know me? I know your type. Comfortable. Disconnected. And you're so different? Writing lies for a paycheck?" The accusation hit like a slap. Maya's hands clenched around her napkin. At least I'm trying to change things from the inside. How's that working out? Better than doing nothing. They stared at each other across the roses, tension crackling between them like static electricity. Then Daniel did something unexpected. He laughed. Not a polite chuckle, but a real laugh that softened the hard edges of his face. You're honest. I'll give you that. Honesty's all I have left. Then you're richer than most people here. The servers arrived with the first course. Seared scallops on black plates. Daniel pushed his toward her without asking. I'm allergic, he explained. You want it? You don't have to do that. I know. Maya took the plate, something warm flickering in her chest. They ate in comfortable silence. Around them, the gala continued. Speeches. Applause. The performance of generosity. Can I ask you something? Daniel said eventually. Depends on the question. Why are you really here? Beyond your boss getting sick. Maya considered lying. But there was something about the way he looked at her. Like he actually wanted to know. Because I thought if I saw how these events worked, I could figure out how to make them matter. How to turn this performance into something real. And I just feel angrier. Good. She looked up, surprised. Anger means you still care, Daniel said. Most people here stopped caring years ago. Is that what happened to you? His expression shifted. Something broken flickered behind his eyes. Yeah. Something like that. Before Maya could respond, the lights dimmed. A spotlight hit the stage at the front of the ballroom. Ladies and gentlemen, a voice boomed through speakers. Please welcome our host for the evening, the founder and CEO of Sterling Corp., Mr. Daniel Sterling. Maya's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. The man beside her stood, buttoning his suit jacket. Their eyes met. In his face, she saw the truth she'd been too blind to see. The same face from the corporate website. The press releases. The scandal articles. No, she whispered. Daniel Sterling smiled. Sad and knowing. It was nice to meet the real you, Maya. Then he walked toward the stage, leaving her drowning in the ruins of everything she'd just said. Maya didn't go home. She sat in her car in the hotel parking garage until 3 a.m., engine off, hands gripping the steering wheel like it could anchor her to reality. Every word she'd spoken replayed in her head. Disgusting. Disconnected. Liar. To his face. To Daniel Sterling's face. She'd called the CEO of one of her firm's biggest clients a liar. Her career was over. Her boss would fire her before lunch. At dawn, she drove to her apartment in a daze. The city looked gray and hollow, morning light struggling through smog. She'd changed out of the emerald dress in the hotel bathroom, now wearing jeans and an old sweatshirt that smelled like laundry detergent. Her phone buzzed. An email. Subject line, meeting request. Her stomach dropped. It was from Daniel Sterling's executive assistant. Scheduled for 9 a.m. at Sterling Corp headquarters. 45th floor. Maya stared at the screen until the words blurred. This was it. The termination meeting. Probably with lawyers present. She should run. Quit first. Disappear. But something stubborn in her chest refused. At 8:45 a.m., she stood outside the glass tower of Sterling Corp headquarters. The building stretched into the sky like a monument to everything she'd criticized. Reflective windows. Modern architecture. Cold and beautiful. Security directed her to a private elevator. The ride up felt endless. The 45th floor was all white walls and abstract art. A receptionist in a charcoal suit smiled professionally. Ms. Chen. Mr. Sterling is expecting you. Maya's legs barely worked as she followed her down a hallway. They stopped at double doors, dark wood with silver handles. The receptionist knocked once, then opened them. Go ahead. The office inside was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Minimalist furniture. A desk that looked carved from a single piece of black stone. Daniel stood by the windows, hands in his pockets. He'd traded the tuxedo for a navy suit and white shirt, no tie. He looked tired. Human. Close the door, he said without turning. Maya obeyed, pulse hammering. He turned to face her. I'm sorry, she blurted. Everything I said last night was completely inappropriate and unprofessional. I had no right to speak to you that way. I understand if you want to terminate our firm's contract, but please don't punish my colleagues for my mistakes. They had nothing to do with this. Daniel watched her without expression. Are you finished? Yes. Sit. He gestured to a leather chair facing his desk. Maya sat, back rigid. Daniel moved to his desk but didn't sit. He leaned against it, arms crossed. Why did you think I was someone else? The question caught her off guard. I don't understand. Last night. You thought I was just another guest. Finance, maybe. Law. You didn't recognize me. I don't really follow corporate executives. But you knew about the offshore accounts. The healthcare cuts. The whistleblower. Maya's throat tightened. I research our clients. Then you should have known my face. I don't memorize photos. I focus on facts. Something flickered across Daniel's face. Almost like respect. The things you said last night. About this company being theater. About me sitting in my tower pretending everything's fine. Do you still believe that? This was a trap. It had to be. But Maya was so tired of lying. Yes. Daniel nodded slowly. Good. Good. Because you're right. The words hit her like a physical blow. Daniel moved to the windows, staring out at the city below. 3 years ago, I inherited this company from my father. He built it from nothing, turned it into an empire. When he died, everyone expected me to continue his legacy. To be him. His voice was hollow, scraped raw. But my father's empire was built on exploitation. Underpaid workers. Environmental violations buried in legal loopholes. Donations to charities while cutting employee benefits. Everything you accused me of last night. Maya sat frozen, afraid to breathe. I've tried to change it, Daniel continued. Quietly. Restructuring departments. Hiring ethics consultants. But the board fights me at every turn. Shareholders only care about quarterly profits. And the employees. He turned to face her. They're terrified. Just like you said. No one speaks up because they know what happened to the last person who tried. The whistleblower. Her name was Sarah Chen. She worked in accounting. Found evidence of tax fraud that could have destroyed us. When she reported it internally, my father had her fired and blacklisted from the industry. Maya's blood ran cold. Chen is my last name. I know. Is that why you invited me here? Because you think I'm related to her? Are you? No. It's a common surname. Daniel studied her face like he was trying to decide whether to believe her. Last night was the first honest conversation I've had in 3 years, he said finally. Everyone around me either fears me or wants something from me. But you looked me in the eye and told me the truth. Even when you thought I was nobody. I didn't think you were nobody. You treated me like a person. Not a position. The vulnerability in his voice made Maya's chest ache. Why are you telling me this? She asked. Daniel reached for a folder on his desk and held it out. Because I want to hire you. Maya took the folder with shaking hands. Inside was a contract. Head of Internal Communications. Salary that made her current paycheck look like pocket change. I don't understand. You said you wanted to change things from the inside. So do I. But I can't do it alone. I need someone who sees the truth. Someone who isn't afraid to call out the lies. You want me to work for you? After what I said? Because of what you said. Maya stared at the contract, mind spinning. This is insane. Probably. I insulted you. Your company. Everything you've built. Everything my father built, Daniel corrected. And you were right to insult it. She looked up at him. His gray eyes held something desperate. Something that looked like hope. What if I can't fix it? Maya whispered. What if it's too broken? Then at least we tried. The words hung between them, heavy with possibility. Maya thought about her tiny apartment. Her student loans. The press releases she'd written defending the indefensible. She thought about Sarah Chen, whoever she was. Destroyed for telling the truth. If I do this, Maya said slowly, I do it my way. No more covering up scandals. No more pretty lies. Agreed. And if the board tries to silence me, I walk. Fair. And you? She met his gaze. You don't get to hide anymore. No more pretending everything's fine. If we're doing this, we do it honestly. Daniel's jaw tightened. For a moment, she thought he'd refuse. Then he extended his hand. Deal. Maya shook it. His palm was warm, calloused in a way that surprised her. When do I start? Monday. I'll have my assistant send the details. She stood, legs unsteady. At the door, she paused. Daniel? Yeah. Why me? Really? He was quiet for a long moment. Because you reminded me why I wanted to change things in the first place. Before I got too tired to care. Maya nodded and left. In the elevator, she looked at the contract again. Her signature line at the bottom, waiting. She didn't know if this was the biggest opportunity of her life or the biggest mistake. But for the first time in years, she felt something other than anger. She felt alive. 3 months later, Maya stood in Daniel's office at midnight, rain hammering against the windows. The city below glittered through the storm, indifferent and beautiful. She'd changed since starting at Sterling Corporation, gone were the borrowed dresses and nervous fidgeting. Tonight she wore black slacks and a crisp white blouse, hair pulled back in a professional knot. But exhaustion lined her face. Daniel sat at his desk, suit jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up. Financial reports covered every surface. His eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep. We can't release this, Maya said, holding up the draft announcement. It's corporate suicide. It's the truth. The truth will tank our stock price by 40%. The board will force you out. Then they force me out. Maya slammed the paper on his desk. Stop being noble for 5 seconds and think. If you're gone, who takes over? Your father's old allies. They'll bury everything we've uncovered and go back to business as usual. Daniel leaned back in his chair, rubbing his face. They'd spent 3 months investigating Sterling Corp from the inside. What they found was worse than Maya imagined. Falsified safety reports at manufacturing plants. Offshore accounts hiding millions. NDAs silencing former employees who'd witnessed harassment. And at the center of it all, Daniel's father. The beloved philanthropist. The self-made billionaire. A monster in expensive suits. He knew, Daniel said quietly. About everything. The safety violations that got workers injured. the toxic waste dumped in rivers. He knew and he did it anyway. Maya's anger softened into something gentler. She'd learned things about Daniel too, these past months. How he ate lunch alone in his office because he didn't trust anyone. How he arrived before dawn and left after dark. How sometimes she'd find him staring out these windows like he was looking for an escape that didn't exist. They'd become something. Not quite friends. Not quite allies. Something more complicated. "Your father's dead," Maya said. "Exposing him now only hurts you. It hurts the truth more if I stay silent." Daniel. He built his empire on broken bodies and buried secrets. If I don't expose it, I'm just continuing his work. And if you destroy the company, what happens to the 5,000 people who work here? They lose their jobs. Their healthcare. Everything. Daniel's hands clenched into fists. "There has to be another way," Maya pressed. "We restructure quietly. Fix things from the inside. Keep people employed while we clean house. That's what I've been trying to do for 3 years. It doesn't work. Because you're doing it alone. Let me help." "You are helping." "No, I'm watching you destroy yourself trying to atone for sins that aren't yours." The words hung heavy between them. Daniel stood, moving to the windows. Rain streaked the glass like tears. "When I was 16, there was a fire at one of our factories," he said. "Faulty wiring that should have been fixed months earlier. 3 people died. My father paid off their families and buried the inspection reports." Maya's breath caught. "I found out years later. Confronted him about it. He told me that's the cost of business. That those 3 lives were unfortunate but necessary for the thousands of jobs the company provided. That's not true. Isn't it?" Daniel turned to face her. "How many people have suffered so this company could thrive? How many lives has my family destroyed? You're not your father. I'm his son. I inherited everything he built. His money. His name. His sins. You also inherited the power to make it right. By destroying it. By transforming it." They stared at each other across the office, rain and darkness pressing against the windows. Maya moved closer, stopping a few feet away. "You want to know what I think?" she said. "I think you're not trying to expose the truth. You're trying to punish yourself." Daniel's jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I? You work yourself to exhaustion. You push everyone away. You're so desperate to be different from your father that you're willing to destroy everything, including yourself. Maybe I should be destroyed." "Stop it." "Why? Because you care?" His voice turned sharp, defensive. "You've known me for 3 months. You don't know me. I know you arrive at 6 a.m. every day and don't leave until midnight. I know you personally called every family affected by the factory fire and set up trust funds for the victims' children. I know you haven't taken a salary since I started working here because you're funneling your paycheck into employee hardship funds." Daniel went very still. "I know you," Maya said quietly. "And you're nothing like your father." Something cracked in Daniel's expression. The armor he wore every day fractured, revealing the raw hurt underneath. "I should have stopped him," he whispered. "When I found out about the fire. About everything. I should have done something. You were 16. I was a coward." Maya closed the distance between them, standing close enough to see the exhaustion carved into his face. "You're not a coward. You're here. Fighting. That's more than most people would do. It's not enough. It's a start." They stood in the silence, the storm raging outside. Then Daniel did something unexpected. He reached out and took her hand. His touch was warm. Solid. Real. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. How to fix something this broken. You don't have to know. You just have to try. Daniel looked at their joined hands like he'd forgotten what human contact felt like. What if I fail? Then we fail together. His gray eyes met hers, searching for something. Permission maybe. Or forgiveness. Maya, I need to tell you something. Before he could continue, his phone rang. The CEO emergency line. Only the board had that number. Daniel answered, still holding Maya's hand. His expression changed as he listened. Shock. Then fury. When? He demanded. More listening. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He hung up, hand dropping from Maya's. What happened? Someone leaked the safety reports to the press. The story breaks in the morning. Maya's blood went cold. Who? Daniel looked at her, something terrible flickering across his face. The leak came from your computer. The accusation hit like a bullet. That's impossible. I didn't send anything to anyone. Your login. Your files. The timestamp shows it happened an hour ago while you were in this office with me. Daniel, I swear I didn't do this. He stepped back, putting distance between them. The walls went up again. The armor locked back into place. Who else knew about the reports? Just us and the legal team. Then someone used your access to frame you. Daniel's voice went cold, clinical. Or you're lying. The words cut deeper than they should have. You think I'd betray you? I think I barely know you. 3 months, Daniel. 3 months of 16-hour days. Of fighting beside you. And you still don't trust me? Trust is a luxury I can't afford. Maya felt something inside her crack. Fine, she said, voice shaking. Fire me. Add me to the list of people your family destroyed. But know this, I didn't send those files. And whoever did is still out there. She turned toward the door. Maya, wait. She stopped but didn't turn around. I want to believe you, Daniel said quietly. But everyone I've ever trusted has betrayed me. My father. The board. People I thought were friends. How do I know you're different? Maya looked back at him. At the man who worked himself to exhaustion trying to atone for sins that weren't his. Who touched her hand like he'd forgotten what gentleness felt like. You don't, she said. That's what trust means. Then she walked out, leaving him alone with his suspicions and the storm. Maya didn't sleep. She spent the night tearing through her computer files, looking for evidence of the breach. By dawn, she'd found it. Someone had cloned her credentials 2 weeks ago during a system update. They'd been watching. Waiting. At 7 a.m., she burst into Daniel's office without knocking. He looked up from his desk, eyes red-rimmed. He hadn't left. Papers everywhere, coffee cups scattered like casualties. Someone hacked my account, Maya said, dropping a flash drive on his desk. I have the server logs. The breach happened during the IT security update. They copied my credentials and waited until they had something worth leaking. Daniel picked up the drive, jaw tight. Who? I don't know yet. But it's someone internal. Someone with access to IT systems. He plugged the drive into his computer, scanning the files. His expression shifted from suspicion to something harder. Colder. This is Marcus's code signature. Who's Marcus? My father's former CTO. I fired him 6 months ago for falsifying testing data. He threatened to destroy me. Daniel's hands clenched. I should have seen this coming. You can't predict every betrayal. I should have predicted yours. The words hit like a slap. Maya stepped back. You still think I did this? I think you're either the victim or the accomplice. I don't know which. After everything? After 3 months. Daniel stood, exhaustion making him cruel. 3 months of watching you play the idealist. The crusader. Maybe Marcus got to you. Offered you money. Revenge on corporate corruption. It fits. You can't actually believe that. I don't know what to believe anymore. Maya felt something inside her shatter. The fragile trust they'd built. The late night strategizing. His hand in hers during the storm. All of it, dust. Fine, she said quietly. Believe whatever helps you sleep at night. But I'm not leaving until I find out who did this. Maya. You want to push everyone away? Be alone in your tower? That's your choice. But I'm not abandoning this company just because you're too scared to trust anyone. She turned to leave. Wait. His voice cracked on the word. Maya stopped, hand on the door. I'm sorry, Daniel said. That was unfair. Yes. It was. I don't think you did this. I just don't know how to separate truth from lies anymore. Everyone wears a mask. Maya looked back at him. At the exhaustion carved into his face. The fear beneath the armor. Then stop looking at masks and look at actions, she said. I've been here every day. Fighting beside you. If I wanted to destroy you, I've had 100 opportunities. Daniel closed his eyes. I know. Then say it. Say what? That you trust me. The silence stretched between them, fragile and terrible. I'm trying, Daniel whispered. It wasn't enough. But it was something. Maya moved back into the office, closing the door. We need to find Marcus before he leaks anything else. I have investigators tracking him. Not fast enough. If he has more files, he'll release them strategically. Destroy us piece by piece. Daniel nodded, mind already working. We could go public first. Control the narrative. Or we could offer him a deal. What kind of deal? Maya hesitated. This was the line. The place where idealism met reality. We offer him money to walk away. Enough to disappear. That's blackmail. It's survival. Daniel stared at her. You said no more covering up scandals. No more lies. I said we do this honestly. Buying silence isn't the same as hiding truth. We can still release the safety reports on our terms. But we do it strategically. Not because some vengeful ex-employee decided to burn everything down. That's a rationalization. It's pragmatism. They looked at each other across the desk. Two people trying to do the right thing in a world that punished righteousness. If we do this, Daniel said slowly, we become exactly what we're fighting against. No. We become survivors. There's a difference. Is there? Maya didn't have an answer. Daniel's phone rang. He answered, listened, went pale. When? He demanded. He hung up and looked at Maya, expression devastated. Marcus just released everything. Every file. Every secret. It's all over the news. Maya's stomach dropped. How bad? The factory fire. The offshore accounts. NDAs. Sexual harassment settlements. Everything. Dear God. The stock's already down 60%. Board's calling an emergency meeting. Daniel's voice was hollow. It's over. Maya grabbed his shoulders, forcing him to look at her. It's not over. We knew this was coming. We prepared for this. We prepared for a controlled release. Not a massacre. Then we adapt. We go on camera. You take responsibility. Announce immediate reforms. Show the world you're not your father. They won't care. They'll crucify me anyway. Maybe. But at least you'll go down fighting. Daniel searched her face. Why are you still here? You could walk away. Save your career. Because someone has to stay. That's not a reason. It's the only reason that matters. Something shifted in Daniel's expression. The fear giving way to something fiercer. If we do this, he said, there's no going back. The board will force me out. The company might collapse. Everyone who depends on us will suffer. I know. And you're still willing to try? I didn't come this far to quit now. Daniel pulled her closer, his forehead resting against hers. The gesture was intimate. Desperate. I don't deserve your loyalty, he whispered. Good thing it's not about what you deserve. They stood like that for a moment, two people bracing for the storm. Then Daniel pulled back, armor sliding back into place. All right. We do this together. Together. He reached for his phone to call the PR team. Maya stopped him. Daniel? When this is over. When the dust settles and we're either heroes or villains. Promise me something. What? Promise you'll stop punishing yourself. Whatever happens, it's not all your fault. His gray eyes held hers, raw and honest. I can't promise that. Try anyway. Daniel nodded slowly. Not agreement. But acknowledgement. Maya stepped back, letting him make the call. Outside the windows, dawn broke over the city. The storm had passed, leaving everything washed clean. Or maybe just exposed. 2 hours later, Daniel stood in front of cameras, Maya beside him. The press conference room was packed with reporters hungry for blood. Daniel began to speak. Admitting everything. Taking responsibility. Announcing reforms that would cost billions. Maya watched him transform. From the broken man in his office to something stronger. Fiercer. This was the turning point. The moment that would define them. She didn't know if they'd survive it. But she knew they'd face it together. 6 months after the press conference, Maya stood on the roof of Sterling Corp headquarters at sunset. The city sprawled below, lights beginning to flicker on as day surrendered to night. She'd changed again. Tonight she wore a simple gray dress, hair loose around her shoulders. Tired but free. The rooftop door opened. Daniel emerged, carrying 2 cups of coffee. He'd changed too. Still wore expensive suits, but the exhaustion in his eyes had softened into something gentler. Almost peaceful. Thought I'd find you up here, he said, handing her a cup. It's where I think best. They stood at the edge, looking out at the city they'd tried to save. The press conference had been brutal. The board forced Daniel out within a week. The company stock crashed. Lawsuits piled up like bodies. But something unexpected happened. The employees spoke up. 5,000 voices demanding reform. Refusing to let the company die. Investors who actually cared about ethics stepped in. New leadership. New structure. Sterling Corp survived. Smaller. Humbler. But alive. Daniel and Maya didn't. Well, not as employees anyway. I got the job offer, Maya said, not looking at him. The nonprofit? Yeah. They want me to head their corporate accountability division. Decent pay. Good benefits. Chance to actually change things. You should take it. I haven't decided yet. Daniel was quiet for a moment. What's holding you back? Maya finally looked at him. Really looked. They'd spent 6 months in hell together. Fighting. Surviving. Somewhere in the chaos, they'd become something neither of them had names for. Not quite lovers. Not quite friends. Something more complicated. More real. She admitted. I'm held back by you. Daniel's expression flickered. Pain and hope tangled together. Maya. Don't. I know what you're going to say. That we're too damaged. Too complicated. That you can't trust anyone enough to love them. That's not what I was going to say. Then what? Daniel set his coffee down and turned to face her fully. I was going to say that you're the only person who's ever seen me. Not the CEO. Not the heir. Just me. Broken and trying. Maya's breath caught. When we met at that gala, Daniel continued, you looked at me like I was nobody special. And it was the most honest moment of my life. Everything since then, every fight, every late night, every time you called me on my bullshit, it's been real. The only real thing I have. Daniel. I'm not asking you to stay. You deserve better than this. Better than me. Stop deciding what I deserve. Then what do you want? Maya stepped closer, closing the distance between them. I want you to stop running. I want you to look at me and tell me the truth. Not the corporate truth. Not the strategic truth. The actual truth. Daniel's jaw tightened. His hands clenched at his sides. Then he spoke, voice raw and stripped bare. I'm terrified. Every day. That I'll become my father. That everyone I care about will leave. That I'll never be enough to fix what's broken. And you make me think maybe I don't have to fix everything. Maybe survival is enough. Maybe being broken isn't the end of the story. Maya's eyes burned. That's the most honest thing you've ever said to me. I have one more. What? Daniel reached out, fingers brushing her cheek with devastating gentleness. I love you. I don't know how. I don't know when it happened. But somewhere between hating myself and trying to save the world, I fell in love with you. The words hung between them, fragile and fierce. Maya had faced boardrooms, press conferences, corporate warfare. But this moment terrified her more than all of them. I love you too, she whispered. And it's the worst possible timing. Daniel laughed, the sound broken and beautiful. When has timing ever been on our side? Never. So what do we do? Maya thought about the nonprofit job. The chance to start fresh. The easy path. Then she thought about this man. Complicated and scarred and trying so hard to be better. We try, she said finally. We don't promise forever. We don't pretend it'll be easy. We just try. That's a terrible plan. It's the only one we have. Daniel pulled her closer, his forehead resting against hers like it had in his office all those months ago. But this time, there was no storm. No crisis. Just two people choosing each other despite every reason not to. I'll probably fail you, Daniel warned. I'll get scared and push you away. I'll forget how to trust. I know. And you'll get frustrated. You'll want to fix me faster than I can heal. Probably. So why try? Maya pulled back just enough to meet his eyes. Gray and honest and finally unguarded. Because some things are worth the risk. Daniel kissed her then. Soft and desperate and real. When they broke apart, the sun had set completely. The city glittered below them, full of broken things trying to be beautiful. Take the job, Daniel said. What? The nonprofit. Take it. Do the work you're meant to do. Change the world. And us? We figure it out. Long distance. Weekends. Whatever it takes. He smiled, and it transformed his whole face. I'm not letting you go just because geography's inconvenient. Maya laughed despite the tears on her cheeks. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. I'm new at this. Give me time to get better. You have time. All the time you need. They stood on that rooftop as the city breathed below them. Two people who'd met at the wrong table. Who'd survived betrayal and press conferences and their own worst instincts. Not fixed. Not healed. But trying. And maybe, Maya thought, that was enough. 3 years later, Maya stood in a conference room presenting to Fortune 500 CEOs about corporate accountability. Daniel sat in the back row, wearing his navy suit and an expression of quiet pride. After the presentation, he met her in the hallway. "You were brilliant," he said. "I had a good teacher. I never taught you that. You taught me what happens when someone actually tries to change. That's the only lesson that mattered." Daniel took her hand. The gesture easy now. Natural. They'd made it work. The long distance. The complications. His therapy sessions. Her boundary setting. All the messy, difficult work of two broken people choosing each other every day. It wasn't perfect. Some days were still hard. But they'd learned something important. Love wasn't about being fixed. It was about being seen. Accepted. Challenged to be better. "Ready to go home?" Daniel asked. Maya smiled. "Yeah. Let's go home." They walked out together into the evening light, hands linked. Two people who'd started at the wrong table and found their way to exactly where they needed to be. Not because fate demanded it. But because they chose it. Every single day. The end.